So the CFMEU has a plan to fix Australia.
The union wants big companies taxed more and the money used to build houses. Union boss Zack Smith reckons we need a super profits tax on the miners and 3,000 other companies with turnover greater than $100 million a year.
Now at the CFMEU we are proud. We are proud of how successfully we fight for our members and their pay.
He says the hundreds of billions raised over 20 years from the new tax should be used to build close to 1 million social and affordable houses.
He's playing the social conscience card.
We see no problem more pressing, more dire than the incapacity of our nation to house all its people.
He's playing the union membership fees card. The CFMEU has been trying to increase its foothold in the Pilbara for years, but hasn't been able to convince that many workers to sign up, because the tradies be making enough without them.
Mate, one of the only places left in the world where a bloke who dropped out in grade 6 can stand next to a shovel all day and somehow make the same amount of money as a doctor.
The building industry, however, is pretty close to no ticket, no start. The 946,900 new houses Zack says we need, a very specific number, will require a lot of new workers, which will mean a lot of new CFMEU members, which will mean a lot more union fees.
Cash money!
To be fair, we do need more houses though.
We do, and Zack reckons we need to act now because the peasants are getting angry.
Now I'm not saying the pitchforks are due to arrive next week, but we're not exactly sowing the seeds of social harmony, are we?
Bison Man could be about to storm Canberra.
This is a peaceful demonstration. We're not going to argue with idiots.
BHP and Rio and Chevron and Woodside and all the others will now come out and say that if they're taxed more, this country will become a less attractive investment destination.
Here we go. Profit, profit, profit.
They'll say CEOs and CFOs will swipe left.
Yeah, what's your first date going to be? Webinar?
When they consider Australia for new projects.
Would they though?
Well, no, it's horseshit. You could tax BHP and Rio's Australian iron ore business 5 times more, and those businesses would still be the most profitable arms of BHP and Rio. There would still be daylight between the ROI from the Pilbara and the next most lucrative part of their businesses.
So you acknowledge we need more houses and some companies can afford more tax?
Yes, but this idea is never going to happen, because politics.
Just fucking hopeless.
Labor's still smarting from the last time it proposed a super profits tax. That was in 2010. The miners launched a vicious publicity campaign to oppose the tax.
Some people would have you believe that only miners are concerned about the new mining tax. I'm not a miner, but I am concerned.
Convince the Australian public that more tax would see the collapse of the mining and oil and gas industries, which was total and utter bullshit, but it played well with the punters, who are generally total and utter morons.
Yeah, we'll remember all those public rallies.
Twiggy was out there addressing a massive crowd of his own workers who'd pretty much been forced to protest, wearing his high-vis, like he was worried he was going to get hit by some heavy machinery on Langley Park.
Axe the tax! Axe the tax!
Gina Rinehart was also there. She was telling everyone she shouldn't have to pay more tax, whilst wearing a necklace that probably cost more than a FIFO rigger earns in a year.
She's got another reason to clutch her pearls.
The descendants of Gina's late father's business partner are coming after the Iron Throne on which she sits.
Long may she reign.
Long may she reign.
Lang Hancock and Peter Wright were the founding fathers of the West Australian iron ore industry. The business partnership, which transformed not just this state but the whole country, was formed in 1938 by way of a handshake. Peter's family is now saying Lang had his fingers crossed at the time promises were made. Peter had 3 children, Angela, Julian and Michael. Julian was the black sheep of the family.
I am the eldest son.
In 1987, he sold his interest in Wright Prospecting, a stake that would be worth billions today, to his brother and sister for $6.8 million.
I was not alerted to this merger of equals possibility.
He's now claiming he was dudded back then because he didn't realise the value of what he had. Michael, who was probably best known as the owner of Voyager Estate, died a few years ago, which leaves Angela, who's probably best known as the owner of the house in Mosman Park that Chris Ellison bought for close to $60 million and now wants to bulldoze. She and Michael's children are suing the House of Hancock now, claiming they were dudded out of royalty payments from the Hope Downs iron ore project, which Hancock owns in partnership with Rio Tinto.
And how much are we talking?
Well, right now there's close to $5 billion sitting in a Hancock prospecting bank account, and it's all from Hope Downs. Billions and billions more will go into that account over the life of the mining project, so there's a lot of money at stake.
Money wins.
The trial to determine who gets a slice started this week, which is just in the nick of time because Angela's down to her last 4.6 billion.
Hope Downs started 30 years ago. Why the court case now?
When Hancock Prospecting started developing Hope Downs in the 90s, iron ore was worth $20 a tonne. Peter Wright's family wasn't falling over itself to develop the project back then, but now it's up and running and iron ore's worth $100 a tonne. They're saying they have a claim to the revenue streams flowing from it.
Cash, check or charge.
Nice timing. They got a case?
Maybe. So far there's been a lot of talk about historical friendships and old maps and letters between Lang and Peter and the broad intent of a partnership that started in the 60s.
It's just the vibe of the thing.
But not much talk about how the Wrights have got a signed contract that's explicit proof of their claim, so they might have a hard time convincing a court about what they see as their birthright. I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.